Imagine waking up on the day of your wedding ready to start the rest of your life only to discover that the man you love has been hiding a shocking secret from you, one that could change everything. Tanker Fuliro, so a man of quiet ambition and deep affection, has been living under the shadow of his family's fortune. But when the truth is finally revealed, Sarah is left questioning everything she thought she knew about him. Will their love survive the weight of his past? Or will Ethan's decision tear them apart before they even get a chance to begin? Stay with us as this whirlwind of emotions, betrayal, and redemption unfolds. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Stay tuned and let us know, what would you do if you found out your fiancé had been hiding such a huge secret? It was a perfect day for a wedding. Sarah Davis stood at the window, staring out at the sunlit hills surrounding her childhood home in Greenwood Hills. The soft scent of flowers filled the air as she adjusted the simple yet elegant dress she'd chosen for her wedding day. Her heart raced with excitement. She was marrying Ethan Williams, the man she had been in love with since their high school years. He was kind, honest, hardworking, a man who had made a living as a carpenter, building beautiful furniture and creating a small but comfortable life for them both. But the reality of their life together was about to change forever. Sarah had known Ethan's story. He was an orphan raised in foster care after his mother's tragic death in a car accident. He had struggled through life, never knowing the comfort of a family. He had built his business from the ground up, and in her eyes, Ethan was the epitome of hard work and perseverance. They had built a simple, modest life together, and Sarah couldn't have been happier with what they had. But today, everything was different. The truth had been hidden from Sarah, kept from her by the man she was about to marry. Ethan was not just a carpenter. He was an heir to a vast fortune, a business empire, and a legacy that stretched far beyond the walls of the workshop. Ethan's father, Richard Grant, had been a shadow in Ethan's life, a man who had abandoned him at birth, leaving him to grow up without the luxuries of wealth or family. Richard was the CEO of Grant Industries, one of the largest furniture companies in the country. Ethan had no idea he was the heir to such a fortune until his father reappeared after years of silence, demanding that Ethan take his rightful place in the family. As Sarah prepared for her wedding, she had no clue that this world of wealth, power, and family ties was about to descend upon her life like a storm. Ethan, the man she thought she knew, had kept his true identity a secret, not just from her, but from everyone. His quiet, humble nature had masked the truth, and now as the wedding day drew closer, Sarah found herself torn between the man she loved and the life he was being forced into. It started with a simple phone call. The call came late one night, just days before their wedding. Sarah had been sorting through the final details when the phone rang. It was Ethan's father, Richard. His tone was cold, distant, and commanding. "Sarah, this is Richard Grant, Ethan's father. I need you to understand something." His voice echoed through the phone, sending a shiver down Sarah's spine. "Ethan has responsibilities, and I expect him to meet them. I know this wedding means a lot to him, but it's not just about him anymore. He's been hiding the truth from you. Ethan isn't just a carpenter. He's the heir to Grant Industries, and he has obligations." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. She felt as though the ground beneath her was slipping away. She had always known Ethan had secrets, but she had never imagined anything like this. The man she loved, her partner, her best friend, was the heir to a massive empire, and suddenly their simple life in Greenwood Hills seemed like a distant dream. Ethan had always spoken about his past with regret, but now Sarah realized just how much he had been hiding. She hadn't asked about his family, never pried into his past. She had loved him for who he was, not for the wealth he could have inherited. But now everything was changing. And as Richard's words sank in, Sarah felt a growing unease settle in her chest. The love of her life was about to be pulled into a world of power, politics, and expectations that she didn't understand. The next day, Sarah tried to confront Ethan, but he was distant, distracted. He had been avoiding her, something she couldn't quite place. He had always been open with her, and now there was a wall between them. When she finally cornered him in their small apartment, his face was unreadable. "I'm sorry, Sarah," Ethan said, his voice barely above a whisper. I should have told you everything." Sarah's heart shattered as the weight of his words hit her. "Ethan, why did you keep this from me? We were supposed to get married in a week. We were supposed to build a life together. Our life, not this." Ethan's eyes clouded with guilt. but he stayed silent. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the internal battle raging inside him. He had never wanted this life, but now that it had found him, it seemed impossible to walk away from it. His family's wealth and expectations were too powerful to ignore, and Sarah, the woman he loved, was caught in the middle of it all. "I never wanted this for you," Ethan said softly. "I never wanted to drag you into this world, but now it's too late. My father won't let me walk away. He wants me to take over the company. And if I don't, everything I've worked for, everything I've built will crumble." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she realized the truth. Ethan was not just fighting for his future, he was fighting for their future. The choice between the woman he loved and the empire his father had built was tearing him apart. And as the wedding day approached, Sarah was left with one impossible question. Could she marry a man who wasn't just her partner, but also the heir to a dynasty that could destroy everything they had? The night before their wedding, Sarah lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and heartbreak. Ethan had confessed the truth. He was not just the man she loved, the man she had envisioned building a life with. He was the heir to a sprawling empire that reached far beyond the small town of Greenwood Hills. His family's wealth, his father's expectations, all of it was too much for her to process. Ethan had always been humble, living a simple life in a modest home. But now, with the veil lifted, Sarah saw how deep the shadows of his family's legacy ran. Ethan had tried to protect her from this world, but now it was too late. The world was coming for them both, and Sarah could feel it closing in. As she paced around their apartment, Sarah's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. She opened it to find Ethan standing there, his face strained as though he had been carrying a weight far too heavy for one person to bear. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, his voice hoarse. "There's no easy way to say this, but the wedding, it has to be postponed." The words hit Sarah like a slap across the face. Why? We've planned this for months. We can't just, I know, but it's bigger than us." Ethan cut her off, his eyes desperate. "My father called me today. He's sending someone here to talk to me. He said if I don't agree to take over the company, he's going to pull every financial support we've ever had." Sarah blinked, stunned by the gravity of his words. "But that's not just your decision to make. You don't have to do this. You're not your father's puppet, Ethan." "I'm not," he said, his voice cracking. "But if I walk away, everything I've worked for, everything we've built will crumble. The house we live in the future, I promised you, all of it will be gone. Do you understand? I've never wanted this, but now I'm trapped. Trapped by my father's demands, by my legacy, by my own mistakes." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she reached for his hand. "You're not trapped, Ethan. You're still the man I fell in love with. The man who built his business with his own two hands. You don't have to be anyone's puppet. I don't care about the money. I care about you." Ethan pulled his hand away. "You don't understand, Sarah. I thought I could walk away from it all. But now they're threatening to pull everything from us. If I refuse, they'll destroy us. They'll destroy everything I've worked for. And they'll destroy you too." Sarah's heart sank. She had always known Ethan's past was complicated, but this was something else entirely. And the truth was, she didn't know what to do. Could she marry a man who was bound by his family's chains? Could she stand by him as he stepped into a world of power, deceit, and control? The man she loved was about to become a part of something he had never wanted. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It was too late for anyone to be visiting. Ethan stood frozen for a moment before he opened the door to reveal a tall, imposing man in a dark suit. "Mr. Williams," the man said with a slight nod. "My name is Thomas Blackwell. I've been sent by Mr. Richard Williams to discuss your future with the company." Sarah's breath caught in her throat as she glanced at Ethan. This was it. The moment that would decide their fate. Ethan stepped aside, allowing Thomas to enter, his face unreadable. "Mr. Blackwell, I don't want this life," Ethan said quietly, his voice trembling. "I just wanted to be with Sarah. I don't want to take over the company. I don't want the power. I don't want any of it," Thomas smirked. "Mr. Williams, you may not want it, but it's yours. It's been yours all along. Your father's made it very clear if you don't comply, you'll lose everything." Ethan looked at Sarah, his eyes filled with sorrow. She could see the battle waging inside him, the internal war between his loyalty to his family and his love for her. He was a man torn between two worlds, and Sarah wasn't sure which one would win. "I don't want to live this way," Ethan said, his voice breaking. "I don't want to lose you, Sarah. But I don't know how to stop this." Sarah took a deep breath, stepping forward. "You don't have to do this, Ethan. I don't care about the money. We'll figure it out. But we have to be together. We have to fight this. You don't have to become someone you're not for the sake of your family's legacy." But Thomas was already shaking his head. "It's too late for that. You have obligations, Mr. Williams, and if you refuse, there will be consequences. You'll find yourself completely cut off from the world you know." The weight of the moment hit Sarah like a ton of bricks. Ethan's entire future, their entire future, was hanging by a thread, and Sarah didn't know how to save them from the storm that was about to consume them. "Ethan, listen to me," Sarah said, her voice soft but firm. "You are not your father. You don't have to do this. You are your own man, and I'm with you no matter what happens." Ethan's eyes softened for a moment, but the look of fear and uncertainty never left his face. He was standing at a crossroads, and Sarah couldn't make the decision for him. As Thomas Blackwell stood silently waiting for Ethan's response, Sarah could only pray that he would make the right choice before it was too late. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. If you were Ethan, would you give up everything for love, or would you choose to take over the family empire to protect your future? What would you do in this situation? Let us know in the comments below. The weight of Ethan's decision hung heavy in the air, and as Sarah watched him, she realized that no matter what choice he made, they would both need to find a way to carve out a life that was their own. The looming shadow of his family's expectations seemed insurmountable. Yet as she stood by him, she knew one thing for sure: they would face whatever came together. The following morning, Ethan didn't wake up with the same look of defeat that had clouded his eyes the night before. Instead, there was a quiet determination in his gaze. Sarah could see it, the resolve to fight to claim a future of his own, not defined by his last name, but by the love they shared. "I talked to my father," Ethan said over breakfast, his voice steady. "And I've made my decision." Sarah's heart skipped a beat, fear and hope intertwining in her chest. "What did he say?" "He was furious," Ethan admitted, leaning forward. "But I told him I couldn't take over the company. I told him I couldn't live that life. Not without you." Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. She had feared that Ethan would go back on his word, that the pressure of his family's empire would be too much to resist. But he hadn't. He had chosen her. He had chosen their future. "I love you, Sarah," Ethan continued, his voice quiet but firm. "And I don't care if we have nothing. I want to build a life with you, even if it means starting from scratch." The emotions flooded Sarah, and in that moment she felt the weight of everything they'd been through, the lies, the secrets, the battles. But now it felt like the world was opening up before them. This was their chance to make their own path. Their love was strong enough to weather whatever storm came next. Ethan had made his decision, but the consequences were far from over. His family would not let go so easily. That afternoon, Sarah received a call from Thomas Blackwell, the man who had come to their home that night, delivering the ultimatum Ethan had faced. "You think you've won, Mr. Williams?" Thomas's voice on the other end was sharp. "You can't just walk away from this. Your family doesn't work that way." "I'm not my father," Ethan replied, his voice unwavering. "And I don't care about your threats. I'm done with your games." Thomas laughed coldly. "You think you can walk away from your inheritance? There's no going back. You'll regret this, Ethan. You and Sarah both." But Ethan wasn't backing down. He hung up the phone, a fire burning in his eyes. Sarah saw the transformation in him, a man no longer shackled by the past but ready to fight for their future. "I don't care what they do," Ethan said, his hand finding hers. "As long as I have you, we'll make it. We'll start over. Together." A few weeks later, Ethan and Sarah stood in a small courthouse in Greenwood Hills, exchanging vows in front of their closest friends and family. There were no lavish displays of wealth, no grand ballroom, just the quiet, intimate ceremony they had dreamed of. It was everything they had wanted: a simple beginning, a testament to their love. As they walked out of the courthouse hand in hand, Sarah felt the weight of their journey lift. There would still be struggles ahead. Ethan's family was relentless, and they would have to fight for their happiness every step of the way. But now they had something more powerful than money or status: each other. Ethan took a deep breath, looking out over the small town they had called home for so many years. "We did it, Sarah," he said softly. "We've created something no one can take from us." She smiled up at him, her heart full. "We're just getting started, Ethan. This is our story, and no one can write it but us." As they drove away from the courthouse, a sense of peace washed over them. They didn't need the approval of his family, the wealth of his inheritance, or the expectations of anyone else. They had each other, and that was enough. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but as long as they faced it together, Sarah knew they could weather any storm. The future was theirs to create, and with that, they stepped into the unknown, ready to build a life on their own terms. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Do you think Ethan made the right decision by walking away from his family's wealth to be with Sarah? What would you have done in his shoes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, be sure to comment 100 and share this video with your friends. We'd love to know where you're watching from.